I'm creating a Roblox sushi game where you make sushi, serve customers, and level up. I want to add workers to my restaurant game. Who doesn't like doing less work? But there's a problem. Automation removes the incentive for the player to actually play the game. I'm going to break down the 3 things that I think makes automation fun. 1. The player stays relevant. 2. Automation should feel strategic. And 3. It should feel rewarding. But wait, before adding workers, I need to add the UI to hire them. Well, at it, I took a little break and first added restaurant controls. The restaurant tab is pretty similar to Restaurant Tycoon 2. It controls the status of your restaurant and will later have the restaurant upgrades. You can rename your restaurant, but that isn't publicly visible anywhere on the map yet. The opening and closing wasn't too bad, but kicking out all the customers was difficult. It came with many challenges. Like in this scenario, I must remove the prompts to access the counters and remove the order in the top right. But if the player is doing an order, I want to keep the order instructions visible until the player either finishes the minigame or leaves the counter. I need to also make the system flexible so it will work for chefs I add later and kicking the customers doesn't break them. Before adding the workers tab, I also redid the color scheme of the UI to be more coherent. I really like this change and it makes the game feel more professional. I'll update some of the older UI to match the color schemes in the future, like the menu. The worker interface is cool because similar to the menu, it generates all the information based on a dictionary, which is pretty much a list of the different types of workers. This allows for easy addition or removal of new workers without having to manually change the UI. The slots have a level requirement and you can purchase new chefs for coins. You can also re-roll the chefs for better ones to allow for unique builds. Now with the UI out of the way, it's time to talk about the actual functionality of the workers and a question I hope to answer. What makes automation actually fun? 1. The player stays relevant. What I mean by this is that the player continues to feel powerful, and that the automation doesn't end up doing significantly more than the player can. If this happens, the player doesn't really have an incentive to play and will instead just get bored and quit. A good example of this is taking a traditional Tycoon game and adding something to make the player more engaged. Like an elemental power Tycoon, instead of just sitting around for money, the player unlocks superpowers that allow them to feel powerful and have a purpose, killing other players and capturing the center for an income boost. The game even encourages fighting through the King of the Hill mechanic and the occasional boss spawns. By giving the player additional goals outside of passively earning money, the automation feels more like a nice bonus to come back to, instead of taking away gameplay. To make sure the player stays relevant in my game, I firstly made the chefs take a long time to make food, so the player can be competitive and make food much quicker. Like I can finish this step in just 5 seconds. Secondly, I made the worker slots require the player to play the game, as you cannot gain experience without cooking, and therefore cannot unlock more slots. Furthermore, the restaurant upgrades will have a level requirement to purchase. While it may seem like a chore to gain experience, the chefs will also come with abilities, one of which boosts your experience, making it easier to progress. Now that the automation doesn't make the player irrelevant, it's time to address the next aspect. 2. The ways in which you automate should feel strategic. In other words, the player should feel like they are creatively building their tycoon and/or choosing workers in a smart way to synergize together. For example, in Theme Park Tycoon 2, players earn money automatically from park visitors, but the core engagement lies in designing custom rides and crafting an appealing park layout. The act of building exciting roller coasters and thoughtfully decorating the park not only increases profits, but also the park rating. This emphasizes how passive income can still be engaging if the player is given opportunities for creativity or strategic decision making. Bee Swarm Simulator does it slightly differently. Instead of being creative with building, it's about being strategic in creating synergies. They have many different bees that could have just automatically gathered honey, but instead they come with unique abilities that combined can create powerful hives in different builds. This makes it extremely satisfying to stack a bunch of ability tokens and generate a ton of honey. For my game, although I will add the creative aspect with building, I did create a worker system similar to Bee Swarm Simulator. There are many different types of chefs, and each one comes with a unique ability. When the chef finishes an order, there's a 70% chance for it to spawn an ability token at the table once you claim the bill. I did initially have it spawn the token immediately once the customers finish eating, but this would interrupt you from making food and make it difficult to stack boosts. For example, if I'm making sushi over here, I could completely miss tokens that despawned. Once collected, a little boost icon appears in the bottom that shows the stack, and hovering over it shows the duration and its information. The current tokens in the game are the Coin Boost, XP Boost, Fame Boost, Speed Boost, and this one just instantly gives coins. This system allows the player to feel even more in control as they choose their workers and get rewarded for making smart decisions. Speaking of being rewarded, the third principle is automation should feel rewarding. This means that it should not just completely eliminate an annoying task, but instead help support you complete a task. Likewise, it should add to the gameplay instead of taking away. In short, the automation should feel fun. A bad example of this is the operators in Restaurant Tycoon 2. While the drive-thru is a cool addition to your restaurant, once you purchase an operator, you never really have to manage the drive-thru again, making it pretty much irrelevant. Unlike chefs or waiters, which you can clearly see doing their tasks, and are fun because you get to claim the money at the different tables, the operator is much more secluded, and the money is just passively made. In contrast, a good example of this is going back to Bee Swarm Simulator. The bees don't eliminate your need to gather pollen, but instead assist you in gathering pollen more efficiently. By spawning a bunch of ability tokens and giving the player a bunch of buffs, it makes it very fun to chain massive boosts and watch your pollen amount skyrocket. As mentioned before, I also have this ability token system. Furthermore, the more chefs you have, the more money you get to claim, making it feel very exciting once you do a bunch of orders and claim all the coins at once. Instead of passive buffs, you get to experience claiming the boosts, and these large chains can be really satisfying. And with that, I think this makes the workers really fun. Now before I end the video, I want to talk about a bonus feature I added. I made it so the chefs can level up, which increases their cooking speed. These levels are slot dependent, so re-rolling doesn't reset the level. I know this may seem overpowered to AFK and let the workers become high leveled, but they are capped based on your current player level, so you're still incentivized to play. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. In the next video, I plan on creating the map for the game, so if you're interested, make sure to subscribe. And I can't wait to see you then.